What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome back to our Bible study. So, now we've got Exodus 27, and again, the recent chapters have pretty much just been God establishing rules for the people, as well as, especially the last two chapters, have been mostly instructions regarding the building of the Tabernacle, which is, like, going to be their place of meeting with God, essentially. Probably a few other things for it, but we'll get into that as we progress through Exodus here. So, yeah, let's hop right in and see what we got. So, chapter 27. Using acacia wood, construct a square altar 7.5 feet wide, 7.5 feet long, and 4.5 feet high. Make horns for each of its four corners, so that the horns and altar are all one piece. Overlay the altar with bronze. Make ash buckets, shovels, basins, meat forks, and fire pans, all of bronze. Make a bronze grating for it, and attach 4 bronze rings at its 4 corners. Install the grating halfway down the side of the altar, under the ledge. For carrying the altar, make poles from acacia wood and overlay them with bronze. Insert the poles through the rings on the 2 sides of the altar. The altar must be hollow, made from planks. Build it just as you were shown on the mountain. Okay, so the dimensions, again, are technically certain numbers of cubits, but that's just the kind of estimated conversion into feet. And so, sorry, just trying to, so they're constructing an altar here as the subsection heading suggests. So they're making an altar and using bronze, well, wood overlaid with bronze, I guess. But, so kind of going back a bit to one of the ideas from last chapter and the different metals and their significance. So it seems like this would go kind of to the outer extent of the tabernacle, given that it's bronze. Because, again, all the stuff in the most holy place was made of gold, and then the holy place a bit outside of that seemed to have silver, although maybe that's not quite accurate, because there was also gold used for the lampstand that was supposed to be in just the outer holy place. So maybe my idea on that is a little bit off. But in any case, you know, those instruments were still used, you know, in the worship of, although the altar would also be used in the worship. So I guess on the whole, my theory doesn't quite hold up. But anyway, so yeah, altar for burnt offerings made of wood overlaid with bronze, I guess. Because, you know, trying to make it that thick of pure bronze would require so much more. And I think that's a big part of the reason why for a lot of these different pieces they're using, you know, wood to kind of actually lay out the structure of it, and then just like supporting or overlaying the wood with the different metals to make it stronger. But anyway, moving on to verse 9. Then make the courtyard for the tabernacle. enclosed with curtains made of finely woven linen. On the south side, make the curtains 150 feet long. They will be held up by 20 posts set securely in 20 bronze bases. Hang the curtains with silver hooks and rings. Make the curtains the same on the north side, 150 feet of curtains, held up by 20 posts set securely in bronze bases. Hang the curtains with silver hooks and rings. The curtains on the west end of the courtyard will be 75 feet long, supported by 10 posts set into 10 bases. The east end of the courtyard, the front, will also be 75 feet long. The courtyard entrance will be on the east end, flanked by 2 curtains. The curtain on the right side will be 22.5 feet long, supported by 3 posts set into 3 bases. The curtain on the left side will also be 22.5 feet long, supported by 3 posts set into 3 bases. So, as I recall, well, if I recall correctly, because this is saying 150 feet, yeah, other parts of the tabernacle so far have been smaller. So, I mean, with this talking about the courtyard, it makes sense that it would be bigger and, like, even further branching out from that. And we also have kind of more officially, you know, the dimensions of that, and the fact that the east end is, in fact, the entrance. I mean, it was kind of implied in the last chapter, but this one kind of says it outright. So, I guess, as things now stand, you've got the east end as the entrance with, you know, curtains being a certain length so that they can come down and, you know, still cover the overall tabernacle. So then entering there, you get into the courtyard, which would be more of a general place of meeting and worship, which I guess could also be where they do, like, offerings and sacrifices. That hasn't... I don't know if that's been kind of spelled out outright as of yet. But anyway, and then so you've got the east and west ends are sort of the shorter sides of the tabernacle, and then the north and south stretch about double the length of those. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, moving on to verse 16. For the entrance to the courtyard, make a curtain that is 30 feet long. Make it from finely woven linen, and decorate it with beautiful embroidery in blue, purple, and scarlet thread. Support it with 4 posts, each securely set in its own base. All the posts around the courtyard must have silver rings and hooks, and bronze bases. So the entire courtyard will be 150 feet long and 75 feet wide, with curtain walls 7.5 feet high, made from finely woven linen. The bases for the posts will be made of bronze. All the articles used in the rituals of the tabernacle, including all the tent pegs used to support the tabernacle and the courtyard curtains, must be made of bronze. Okay, so maybe my theory about the different metals and proximity to God in this whole thing still holds up, kinda, generally speaking, because all this outer stuff it's saying is made of bronze, although I guess some of the posts, let's see here, silver rings and hooks, I forget if it said the support posts or whatever would be silver or bronze. 20 posts. I mean, it mentions bronze bases. It doesn't even actually say that those would be made out of metal. So they could be wood posts at this point. Anyway. So all the articles used in the rituals of the tabernacle would be bronze. So yeah, that kind of gives me the indication, which would make sense. This courtyard area might be more where the sacrifices are made, on the altar, which is also made of bronze. And then as the priests would bring particular portions of the offering further in, then we get to, things being made more of silver, getting into possibly the holy place, which would involve the table, which was made of gold. But, well, the table and the lampstand there are made of gold, and I think those are just in the holy place, because the most holy place, I think, just has the Ark of the Covenant. But anyway, did I miss? No, so far all the footnotes I think have just been, about the measurements being in cubits in the original Hebrew. So anyway, let's carry on and wrap things up, I guess. Verse 20. Command the people of Israel to bring you pure oil of pressed olives for the light, to keep the lamps burning continually. The lampstand will stand in the tabernacle, in front of the inner curtain that shields the Ark of the Covenant. Aaron and his sons must keep the lamps burning in the Lord's presence all night. This is a permanent law for the people of Israel, and it must be observed from generation to generation. So that footnote says in the tent of meeting, outside the inner curtain that is in front of the testimony. So, yeah, the lampstand, as I was thinking before, is just outside of the curtain for the most holy place. Also later, I believe, referred to as the Holy of Holies. Or maybe that's more so for the temple when that gets built. I don't know. Anyway, the most holy place has the ark, and, that's it. And then outside of that, we've got the lampstand and the table, because, that table might be where the priests would, take of their portion of the offerings, although that hasn't really been established yet. But later on, we find out that, yes, the priests get a particular portion of the people's offerings for themselves, and that's kind of their payment for their, priestly services. So then, you wouldn't want that table, though, to be in the most holy place, in the presence of God. Because, it's still a table where you're, eating meals, or at least consuming some sort of food, generally speaking. So, yeah, anyway. So we've got the light, from the lampstand being just outside to give the priests light and visibility for the most holy place, as well as, or at least for getting into the most holy place, as well as for the outer holy place. And then, once again, outside of all that, you've got the general courtyard for the tabernacle, where they would usually have, other sacrifices and meetings and things like that taking place that would possibly involve, people who weren't just the priests. So, and again, this is sort of establishing how the people are going to worship and, commune with God moving forward. So anyway, kind of a short chapter. I guess that about wraps things up. Okay, so that wraps it up for Exodus 27. More stuff regarding the tabernacle, specifically the altar for burnt offerings, some of the instruments, and I guess the outer kind of courtyard area as well. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of it for now. As always, like and share if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and click the bell to get updates when I post new videos. Look down in the description for info on other social media pages and how to find and follow those. And of course, leave comments down below, all that, with any thoughts that you have. So, yeah, that's going to do it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully, I'll see you for the next chapter. But until then, stay cool, people.